Hi, I'm Marissa Frosch with the Amphibian Press podcast, and today I'm talking to Victoria Thurman, the women's fiction author of The Dating Dilemmas of Delilah Dunfield. And it's kind of a mouthful when you say it out loud. So when did you start writing? Let's start there.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me, Marissa. And I just wanted to show y'all the cover of my book.
Oh, yes, yes.
I started writing little tiny stories when I was 7, and I've still got all of them, and they're just so funny. I won, got good grades in 5th grade English. We always had to write stories, and then there was this other guy in my English class who wrote stories as well as I did, and so there was like this big competition between which one of us could write the best stories. So that was always fun, and we did really good. Had a lot of stories to tell. But I started keeping a journal when I was about 13, and most of it's just teenage angst, and I've gone back through some of it, and I'm just like, why would I write that? But that's kind of where I got the idea. My favorite author is Ellen Conford, and this is my favorite book, this 7 Days to a Brand New Me, and that's how I decided I wanted to write humor and based on teenage angst. So that's how I got started writing Delilah. I was home at my parents' house after my first job fizzled out, and I didn't know what to do with my life. And I had just turned 26, and I was like, what is wrong with this picture? And I woke up one morning, and the whole title was just like given to me, and I knew that I needed to write a story about a 25-year-old woman who was not savvy in dating at all and just had these weird experiences, and she only ever had just first dates. So it's basically based on my life. About a 25-year-old kind of navigating through the dating pool of what she has been given to, choose from. Then she also has her love interest who you don't know if it's going to work out or not. You don't even meet him till halfway into the book, because I want everybody to experience her life for what it is and not have that little bit of glory or hope in the middle. I mean, not till the middle, because I felt like you just appreciate what she's been through and then what she goes through till the end of the book. I feel like a lot better. I chose humor because reading my journals is not humorous at all. But I felt like you can go through, like, you have all these serious things happen to you, and basically the only way to get through it is to laugh. And so I feel like a lot of people can relate to just the humor of it, because we've all been there. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I got started writing and how I got the idea for Delilah. It took me about 10 years to write it, because I was kind of living all of that at the same time. I've tried to mix up everybody's, like all my dates. I wrote them all on index cards, and then like mixed them up and decided, well, this person will have this characteristic and that characteristic from somebody else, and I'll mix up part of this date with part of that date. So it's never really a true date that happened. Mm-hmm. But there are a couple true experiences that happened to me. Like my favorite chapter is Welcome Guests. And this is what happened to me. I came home from the grocery store and closed the door, and we had a hidden lock on those apartments. So I had no idea that I left my keys in the door. And that night around 9:00, somebody knocks on my door, and I was scared because there was a rapist around. I was living in Atlanta. And I had heard he goes and knocks on people's doors. I don't know why I thought he would choose my door, but
well, you never know.
But I was so scared to open it, so I called 911, and I had never called them in my life. I was so much more scared of calling them than I was of who was on the other side of the door. And then when the police finally came, they just looked at me like, oh my God, girlfriend, you left your keys in the door. So I knew that had to be in there, but I changed it to where it's her love interest who comes to the door, and she thinks it's the rapist. And so it's a big kerfuffle.
I love that because I have left my keys in the door probably like 5 or 6 times. It's bad. I've even left them in the car door.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
It's bad. But so Delilah is kind of a character. I was just reading about her last night, and it's this, for those of you who don't know, she's 24. She's going to turn 25, and she thinks that as soon as she turns 25, that means she's going to be a spinster. So she has 8 months to find who she's going to be with. How did you come up with that idea, and where does she get it in the book?
Okay, so she gets the idea that she's going to be a spinster at 25 from her mom.
Okay.
And I got it from my mom. She told us, she doesn't remember telling us this, but she told us all throughout our lives, all the good ones are gone by the time you reach 25. So, in my little brain, teenage brain where you don't know what reality is versus your life, I thought it's going to happen to me. I'm not going to find a good one. And then when I was like 26 and I was like, oh my gosh, 25 has already passed me by. I had a panic attack. I mean, most people have their midlife crisis at 30 or 40, but I had mine at 25 and 26.
I think I had mine about 24 or 25.
Okay, good.
But for people who are 25, I just want to say that my good friend got married at 24, ended up getting divorced very soon after, and now she is engaged to a wonderful, wonderful man. So it can happen.
Okay, good. Well, I'm still waiting.
My grandmother has dated, my mom's mom has dated and married so many times. Like she's, so there's that too.
Okay.
Go both ways. So tell us.
I'm like hoping that my book doesn't scare anybody off thinking that they have to get married before 25.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Delilah and your first book, The Dating Dilemmas.
So Delilah is a braver version of me. She steps out of her comfort zone a little more often than I have, and she's smart, but she's kind of goofy. Like, she believes things that are really not believable. Like, I mean, if you really have lived, you would know, whatever the issue was, that it's not going to happen. It's, like the whole good ones are gone by the time you reach 25. Or, she listens to her mom, like, being in Atlanta, you're going to meet up with a rapist or have your car jacked or, road rage and all that. So she's like on the lookout, but she's also living. I mean, I think I was a little more on the lookout than she was. So she's just, a little naive, very trusting. She does have an element of not trust because of the things that her mother has taught her. She's just always searching for that true love, and she hasn't yet figured out what love really is. And so in my next book, Daylight Dawns on Delilah Dunfield, she learns true love, unconditional love, through a stray cat that she finds at her apartments. She's also experiencing her first real relationship with a guy, but she's not really ready to believe that it's happening to her. So we'll see, does she figure it out or not?
You just never know.
Yes.
So tell us a bit about the book, the first book.
The first book, so she starts out in this small town where she grew up. And her best friend from that town has been trying really hard to get her to move to Atlanta, but she's like really scared to. So finally she decides, okay, I'm doing it. And she, you know, finds her way around. She meets a lot of people, but she also is like learning how to stand on her own 2 feet in a new environment. She loves weaving, and so she's doing that, but she one of the guys that she dated from her old town gets in touch with her again, and he connects her with an artist in Atlanta, and she has her own show. She ends up entering a contest at the governor's mansion with one of her weavings. She she has her friends that hang out and support her through all of her crazy dates. Let's see what else.
How does she find her dates? Like, is it like a dating website, or does she like just bump into these people?
She hasn't learned the joys of online dating. And I say that because I have been there and done that. Is not joyful. But she'll like run into somebody at the grocery store, or at the furniture store, just like odd places. But really, that's like kind of how people used to meet people.
Yeah.
But she's just meeting the wrong ones.
Roughly how many dates does she have in the book, if it's dating dilemmas?
Oh gosh, she has
a lot.
Maybe probably at least 5, probably 7 or 8.
So lots of dates, lots of bad dates. Do you think she changes from the beginning of the book to the end of the book?
I think she grows a lot, and her growth within that year, it's kind of my growth within 10 years. However, I think that I pulled it off for her to be that grown in a year's time, for all the things that she has gone through and had to learn and be independent on her own, and to figure things out on her own. So she starts at the beginning, this small town girl who's so naive, and by the end of the book she's kind of got a taste of life and reality and how it has affected her and helped her grow past where she was at the beginning of the book.
That's good. So with this book, you won the Indie Brag Medallion. Do you want to talk about that?
I did. I won it about 5 years ago when we had to be nominated. I mean, you can do it now on your own, but when I got it, I was nominated by a friend of mine. And so this is how it works. There's different groups who are assigned books, and so every group who's reading whatever book they've been given, it has to be a unanimous decision. If there's one person who says, yeah, it was okay, then you don't get the Bragg Medallion. So I felt like it was a huge honor to have that award given to me in my book.
Yeah, that's awesome. Especially for a first novel. I think that's really rewarding.
It is.
So what do you do besides writing? What else do you like to do?
I love to paint. I paint canvases. I do birds and landscapes. They're my favorites. Some people want me to paint their dogs, and I'm just not sure about that yet. I might give it a try, but I do paint a lot of Christmas ornaments. So I sell them, and I don't have like a big stockpile, and I think people think that I do, but I just do them as I'm inspired. I love painting. I was an art major, and my major was like general fine arts, so it was everything. It wasn't one specific thing.
I love painting too. You should try the dogs because
Okay.
they're my favorite thing that I ever painted was a tiger. Um,
Okay.
I took a special painting class, like I had to in high school, and because the teacher, I did painting 1 and 2, and she was like, just stay. So we made it painting 3. I was the only one in the class.
That is so
Um,
neat.
but what I did was I did a series. So I have one picture that's just his nose, one that's his eyes, and then one that was like kind of his ear. But through that process, it's like something about painting animals. It's like somebody's with you while you're painting. I
Oh
don't know
wow.
how to describe it. Um, but I absolutely loved it. So give it a shot and tell me what you
Okay.
think.
There are a couple of dogs. I dog sit on occasion, and there are a couple of dogs that I really like. I really want to try to paint this one. They're very sweet.
Yeah, give it a try.
Okay.
Do you do oils or?
I used to do oil, but since I've been in an apartment, I don't have the right ventilation to. I don't want to
Yeah,
breathe in all that turpentine and stuff. So
right.
I stick with acrylic.
I love oils, but I haven't used them since I was in school. So, um, just because the same reason, unless it's summertime and I'm in,
Right.
like, my mudroom has windows all around it, so I can just open all the windows and it would be fine. But unless I'm in there.
I did. I did a 6-foot painting for somebody who. This was like when I was in Atlanta, and it was freezing. It was winter, and I was outside on the porch painting because I was like, this is like a one room. I was in a studio apartment, and I was like, there's like no place to escape, so I'll have to go. I bundled up and was like outside painting.
Got to do what you got to do.
All right.
Um, so you have a plan for a second book for Delilah. Are you planning this to be a series, or are you gonna write something else after?
I have so many things in my mind. I would like to do a 3-book series for Delilah. And I've been playing around with covers, and I'll show y'all the one that I have set up as my idea of what I want my cover to be. So it's got her cat and her boyfriend's car on the front cover.
Yeah.
She's in love with her boyfriend's car, maybe more so than him.
I understand.
But yeah, and so the second book is the theme is unconditional love. Um, and I've been working on it for a while. I'm hoping to get done with it soon. I'm in the middle of moving, so I've got a lot of stuff packed up and haven't really been writing recently. I probably should keep doing that.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm trying to finish my degree, and I haven't been able to write since I started this term, and it's driving me nuts. It's starting to like really bother me that I haven't
Yeah.
written anything.
Yeah. I like when I write, the whole world disappears, and it's just me and my writing, and I sometimes forget to eat. I don't think I could ever forget to feed my cat because he will not let that happen.
Right.
But yeah, I just disappear into the world that I'm creating.
Yeah, that's yeah, it's like I need it at this point. I need to write. So where can people find you online?
They can find my book on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. And I have a website with a blog that I've abandoned. I didn't mean to abandon it, but it's victoriathurman.com.
You can revive those dead blogs.
Okay.
Possible.
Good, I do think about it a lot, but yeah, I need to figure out really what I'm going to start writing about. I think that I've kind of been I want to write this, but no, I don't know. And then I want to write this, but I don't know. And my blog would probably just be a montage of just a conglomeration of ideas and not anything specific to Delilah, because it's about me instead.
Yeah. It's hard for fiction authors. They seem to struggle with what to write in their blog. And I've been studying all of Tim Grall's stuff. and he talks a lot about content and different kinds to make, and like blogs or podcasts or whatever. And through, it was probably the third or fourth time I was either reading or hearing him talk about it, and it finally clicked for me what I was going to blog about.
Oh, wow.
It took
I
a
need to do
while
that.
though.
I need to figure it out.
I'm just doing because I do urban fantasy, and I use urban legends and stuff like that. So I'm using my research. Anything that I find that's cool and weird, I write about it. So
Oh,
my
yeah.
most recent one was about alien abduction stories, because I'm writing an alien abduction story for our anthology Beamed Up. So I've been researching that because I want it to kind of be true to the people
Right,
who
right.
um, believe that they can be abducted. I don't want to believe that I can be abducted. That's not something I want to
Right, right.
believe. But
Well,
anybody
I
who,
started,
go ahead.
okay, I'm kind of like along that lines. I started a little story a few years ago when the whole vampire craze was out. What about the people that are left behind? So this, started writing this little story about this girl's sister who graduated high school and was going to Europe to visit her sister, but her sister's been abducted by vampires, and like nobody's heard from her. So she and her sister's boyfriend go searching to find where she is, and then it turns out the boyfriend he's a vampire now, but she has to escape Europe and go back home because I was like, what happened to the families, of these people
Yeah,
that are just gone?
that's a good idea. You should finish it, because vampires in particular, they come back. If you pay attention to Anne Rice at all, she wrote Interview with a Vampire.
All right.
And like she's got like 3 or 4 vampire books, and she said that every time there's a vampire craze, she sells all those books
Oh,
again.
wow.
So I was like, well, heck, I'm jumping on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
So, plus I love vampires. I was of the Buffy generation, so
Okay.
but yeah, that's an interesting idea. But anyway, that's just what I've been doing, like, and I was trying to figure out what I would do for I'm starting a new pen name for contemporary romance and women's fiction.
Okay.
So I was trying to figure out what I would do for that. And I think what I might do is kind of be like a host for author interviews and stuff like that, instead of trying to blog. Because I mean, in the books that I'm writing, they're either romance, so someone finds their significant other, or I'm going to do a series that's kind of like Gilmore Girls,
Oh, yeah. I love
with the
Gilmore
mother
Girls.
and me too. It's like, that's why I decided to write it, because I've seen Gilmore Girls 3 times in the past like 2 years, and I love it every time. So I'm like, well, I guess I like this. I should probably try
Yes.
this. So it's kind of Gilmore Girls inspired. And I like the idea of having the daughter, the mother, and the grandmother all trying to date and figure stuff out at the same
Right.
time. So so I don't know what I would blog about though, so I was like,
Be
well,
welcome to my world.
I could just host other authors maybe. There was something that I thought last night, but now I was thinking it as I was falling asleep, so now it's gone. If I think of anything though, I'll let you know.
Okay.
So do you have a Facebook page or anything like that?
I do. It's Victoria Thurman Author.
Okay.
And I just got 2 more likes on it last week. Yay! Like, who are these people? But thank you.
Yeah, so are you on Twitter or anything like that, or is it just Facebook?
I do have a Twitter account. I have this new obsession with squishmallows, and as I tweet about them all the time. They're these giant soft pillows that are animals.
Nice. I love anything soft, and then giant is just, yeah.
So here's one.
Oh, nice. So cute.
Had to give a shout out.
All right, so people can find you on, and I'll link to all of this below the video.
Okay.
Facebook, Twitter, and your website.
Yes.
So good luck with the new Delilah book, and I
Thank
hope to
you.
see it out soon.
Thanks, Marissa.
Well,
Thank you for having me on your What
Of
podcast?
of course, you're so welcome. I'm Marissa Frosch, and this has been the Amphibian Press podcast, and we're talking to Victoria Thurman. Thanks.
Thank you.